Good evening and welcome to episode 35 of Loomer Unleashed. I'm your host, Laura Loomer. In recent years, there has been a concerted effort, if you haven't noticed, to rehabilitate the image of Islam in the view of Americans on both sides of the political aisle. The left has begun openly embracing the plight of the Palestinians, often ignoring the incessant violence committed by groups like Hamas. To leftists, and sadly many right-wingers these days, these Palestinians are just another minority group that they perceive as being persecuted or victimized. They truly believe that by representing Islam in a more palatable way, they will be able to garner support for their pet minority more easily. As for some on the right, there has been a shift towards embracing Islam as a potential foil to feminism, atheism, and the erosion of traditional Western values here in the West. Regardless of the motivations behind it, this movement towards Islam is not wise, and it is not based on any sort of reality. In fact, Muslims should not be hated or mistreated. I want to be very clear about that. I do not hate Muslim people. However, Islam ought to be criticized. It is a religion, or rather, let's call it what it is, not really a religion, but more of a political ideology, okay, that romanticizes violence, revels in the mistreatment and subjugation of women, and remains antithetical to the values of Western society. This past Friday, I went on the popular podcast Fresh and Fit. It's a men's self-improvement podcast that often hosts a bunch of women, and their guests are generally on a panel with a bunch of, promiscuous women. Anyway, I was invited, and this episode aired here on Rumble. The subject of Islam came up, and I told the truth about it as a religion when one of the female panelists asked me if I hated Muslims. You see, some of the people on the live stream tried to push back, saying that I shouldn't criticize Muslims during Ramadan. And following my episode, which went viral, clips were sliced and diced all over Twitter. My comments went viral, and I was attacked by nearly every single large Islamic influencer on X to the point where I was trending on Twitter. I was attacked by known jihadist voices like Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawa, and the newly Islamic convert, popular streamer, Sneeko. Again, I do not hate Muslims. I just find elements of their so-called religion or political ideology, because that's really what it is. It's a political ideology. To them, it may be a religion, but everywhere else it's practiced as a political ideology and a legal code. I consider it to be absolutely reprehensible and incompatible with Western civilization. Islam, to a greater extent than most other religions, is directly tied to their society's laws, and it is practiced as a legal system known as Sharia law. In most Muslim nations, their entire government is organized to function around the tenets of Islam. These are the same countries that still force women to wear hijabs, prevent men from shaving their beards, and will declare jihad if you look at the Quran the wrong way. This is not to say that faith and traditional values aren't important, but they should not be regressive and oppressive to the degree that many Muslims push their so-called faith. As of late, a number of right-wing influencers and red pill types have softened their stance on Islam, and they've even openly embraced it. Some are converting to Islam. They look around at our nation, which is currently plagued by the ills of third-wave feminism, atheism, and degeneracy. Then they look back at Islam and they see an answer to many of these issues. The allure of having a society where those problems are absent is hard to ignore. Yet I'm not sure many of these people understand what Islam brings along with it. Islamic nations are not some happy-go-lucky conservative paradises, you see. Instead, these are deeply regressive societies where poverty, persecution, and violence are abound. We as conservatives are capable of opposing feminism and degeneracy on our own. We don't have to become bedfellows with Islam to do it. On the other hand, leftists love to cozy up to Islam because they are a minority group who are currently perceived as being persecuted. Leftism is centered on the idea that the world is best defined through power struggles, and currently Islam does not have the upper hand in their eyes as it relates to the war that has become very politicized between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. To liberals, the only group that has power right now are white men in the West. Thus, to support Islam is to oppose the status quo. Ironically, though, these leftists, who are the champions of equality and diversity, they'll tell you, will totally ignore the subjugation of women, gays, and even dogs by Islamic nations in order to do this. We are about to witness this same mental gymnastics routine with the incoming flood of Haitian invaders who are heading to Florida in droves amid the total collapse of Haiti. And tonight I will be joined by Florida Congressman Cory Mills, who just got back from a rescue mission in Haiti where he rescued 23 Americans. And we're going to hear about that collapse firsthand from the congressman himself. So stay tuned because we have a very exciting episode for you tonight here on Loomer Unleashed. Last week, news broke that the government in Haiti had been toppled by a number of violent gangs. Prison breaks, fires, and violence now grip the island nation. The leader of these criminals goes by the name Barbecue, and he regularly burns his enemies. In case you want to know how he got the name Barbecue, he burns his enemies alive and he eats them like barbecue. How lovely. An entire Caribbean nation is now being run by a cannibal. I wish I was making this up. These are the type of people who live in Haiti, who compromise the third world. And they are now all heading this way to flee the chaos in Haiti. We are already in the middle of an immigration crisis here in America. We do not need any additional people trying to get in, especially from a cursed shithole nation like Haiti. But you can rest assured that the left will try to roll out the red carpet for these barbarians. You see, a few years ago when Donald Trump rightfully branded Haiti as a shithole, there was a huge outcry. Clowns like Conan O'Brien took to social media to defend the nation as a beautiful country. O'Brien even spent 4 days there, of course, staying in a 5-star resort, filming an episode on his show dubbed Conan in Haiti to try to stick it to Trump. Well, I wonder how he feels now that the leader of that country is causing widespread destruction and eating people. Maybe Conan should go back and film another episode with his buddy Barbecue. Conan the Barbarian. How about Conan the Cannibal? With Joe Biden in the White House and Marxists in control of the media, these Haitians will be labeled as poor migrants. Oh, these poor migrants. Oh, boo-hoo. Refugees fleeing from random violence in their home country. They're just coming here for a better life, they'll say. For peace, right? For opportunity. Economic migrants. America, I suppose, is just going to have to accept them into our population. We're going to have to accept the fact that they may not know what toilet paper is. They may wipe their asses with their hands, and they might practice voodoo like a lot of Haitians do. And we're just going to have to sit back and watch as millions of these people, these third worlders, flow over our border. It's already happening. It is a never-ending flood where this third world pours in as crisis after crisis ensnares their homelands. At what point are we going to stop and ask, why are their home countries the way that they are? Haiti's not a shithole because of a lack of foreign investment, poor education, or the shadows of colonialism, Just go ask Hillary Clinton. What happened to all that Clinton Foundation money, huh? It's a shithole because of the people who live there and the things they believe. You see, when you import the third world, you will become the third world. When we let a Haitian migrant into our country, we aren't just importing a person. We are importing all of the problems they created back in their own home. And believe me, we already have enough of our own issues to solve.
There is a young female journalist, conservative journalist, by the name of Laura Loomer.
If America's men acted like Laura Loomer, our problems would be fixed in about 5 minutes.
Chained herself to
She
Twitter.
chained herself.
Well, good evening, and thank you so much to everybody who is tuning in to episode 35 of Loomer Unleashed. I am your host, Laura Loomer. Please be sure that you repost this link live. We are live right now. It's a very exciting night. We have Congressman Cory Mills joining me soon, and also we're going to be joined by my friend Paul Ingracia, who is a lawyer who just filed an amicus brief today with the Supreme Court in support of President Trump in one of his legal cases. Additionally, it is election night, and you know that we have our Trump map, and we're going to show you that map because we have some breaking news right now. Breaking news. Today was the Florida GOP primary in Florida, Ohio, Kansas. Where else? Florida, Ohio, Kansas, Arizona, and Illinois. And right now, we can confirm that President Trump, we can get that pulled up on the screen. President Trump has officially won the Florida GOP primary, winning all 125 of the Florida GOP delegates. And he also just won, you guys, Ohio. So he's getting 79 of Ohio's delegates. So that's really exciting. And click the New York Times, actually, because we're going to look at these reports coming in right now live. It's actually really funny because Nikki Haley, look at this. So check this out. Donald Trump, with the results in now, 91% of the votes in, so we still have another 9% to go, you guys. He's got over 80% of the vote. Nikki Haley has 14.3% of the vote, and Ron DeSantis has 3.9%. So again, Ron DeSantis is the failed absentee governor of Florida. And you can see he just got his ass whooped by Nikki Haley and Donald Trump. So how embarrassing for Ron DeSantis. I mean, this is a man who apparently had a legacy. I don't know what for. I mean, honestly, he's got to be the worst governor in America. And I say that, as a Floridian, of course. It's just so sad, for him. I don't really care about Ron DeSantis, but, for him, this is a man who had a legacy. People at least were duped into thinking that this was a man who was a good governor. And now he's losing to Nikki Haley, of all people. So it's just, he's so pathetic. I can't get over how pathetic Ron DeSantis is. So sad. Let's go pull up Ohio. Let's see what's going on in Ohio. The Ohio Republican primary results. Let's keep these up, too, so that we can see what the final numbers are. We're going to get these pulled up on the screen for you. Again, we are live right now. We are live, so be sure that you repost this, please. Let's see. We got this live. Ohio GOP presidential results. Donald Trump has received, so 21% of the vote in. With 21% of the vote in, President Trump has already received about 73% of the vote. Ron DeSantis is losing to Nikki Haley in Ohio, too. Wow, this is so embarrassing. This is really great, though. He's got 2.9%. Oh, my God. And his wife is from Ohio, you guys. Nikki Haley got 21.3%. Let's go to the chat. Let's go to the chat and see what everybody has to say about this. I want to see from everybody if you went out and voted for Trump today. So if you live in Ohio, if you live in Florida, if you live in Illinois, if you live in Kansas, if you live in Arizona, and you voted for President Trump today, press 1 in the chat. Press 1 if you voted in one of the primaries that is taking place today. Also, please be sure that you like and share the stream. We are live right now. Be sure that you go to rumble.com/Laura Loomer and you follow me. It's important that you follow my Rumble channel. Also, be sure that you follow me on Locals by clicking the Get Loomered button at the top of my Rumble channel. From there, you'll be able to subscribe to my Locals for $7 a month or $70 per year. Click there. Let's go back to the chat. Let's see. How many of you voted today? Tell me where you voted. 1 in Florida. That's great. Illinois. Yeah, I was like, what? What is that? Illinois, Kansas, Florida. Let's see. Los Angeles. Nice hair. Thank you. Yeah, I got my red back in my hair. Glad you like it. Now it matches my red blazer for election night. I had the red in my hair before, but it wasn't as bright. But I had to redo my color the other day, so I'm glad you like it. Let's see. Arizona, Kansas, Florida, Boca Raton. Great. Minneapolis. Wonderful. Hope we've got a $20 super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. Anyway, in the meantime, we're going to keep on reporting these results as they come in. Cory Mills is going to be joining in about 15 minutes. So in the meantime, another story while we're waiting for results to come in. A legal immigrant from Lebanon caught at border admitted he's a Hezbollah terrorist hoping to make a bomb. He was headed for New York. I guarantee you that this guy came in through the Darien Gap. How much do you want to bet he came in through the Darien Gap? You know, that's where a lot of these people from Lebanon are coming in, you guys. They're coming in through the Darien Gap. When I was in Panama, there's an entire town of Lebanese. It's called Cologne. So scroll down. Let's see. In a subsequent interview, Abadi said he had trained with Hezbollah for 7 years and served as an active member. He was coming into the United States, 22 years old, caught by U.S. Border Patrol near El Paso, Texas. When he was asked what he was doing, he said, "I'm going to try to make a bomb." He claimed that he had been trying to flee Lebanon because he didn't want to kill people and said, "Once you're in, you can never get out," according to the U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement. Scroll down. Abadi said in a sworn interview after his arrest that he had trained with Hezbollah for 7 years and as an active member guarding weapons locations for another 4 years. Abadi's training focused on jihad and killing people that was not Muslim. Yep, of course, yeah, that's what we're talking about. It's Ramadan Bombathon tonight, you guys. That's what we are talking about. That's what I said. And if you didn't notice, we've got Muhammad in the Gator head tonight. Look, guys, these people are coming across our border. I was in Panama. I saw firsthand people from Afghanistan, Morocco. Now you have people from Lebanon coming in, and they're trying to attack our country. And a lot of these people, as I said before, coming in through the Darien Gap. I told you that there's a very large Islamic community coming in through the Darien Gap, making their way into our country via this trek up through Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexican border, into El Paso, into California. So what do you think they're doing, guys? Do you think that they're just coming here right now, like in the middle of Ramadan, to just hang out and celebrate Ramadan? No, they're coming to our country so that they can attack. They're coming to our country so that they can attack. That's what they're doing. Keep on scrolling down. Border agents continue to see a surge in migrants whose names appear on the terror watch list entering the U.S. illegally, and crossings continue at record levels. Hezbollah, an Iran-backed terror group, has launched missiles into northern Israel following Hamas's attack on October 7th that have killed about a dozen Israeli soldiers and 7 civilians. So there you have it, guys. He said he wanted to kill people who are not Muslim, because that's what the Quran calls on Muslims to do. It calls on them to kill non-Muslims, disbelievers, as they are called. And perhaps Congressman Cory Mills can touch on that tonight as well, because I know that he served in Iraq, and I understand that he also speaks Arabic, and he's married to a woman who converted from Islam to Catholicism, I believe. His wife is very nice lady. Her name is Reina. I've met her before. Great woman. And perhaps he can talk about this and how, terrorists murdered his wife's family members, and whether these people are coming across in droves. So we're going to talk to Cory Mills tonight, but we're really going to be speaking with him. Let's pull up an article about what's going on in Haiti. Okay, Cory Mills rescues Americans, 23 Americans from Haiti. We've seen this continued crisis in Haiti. Let's go to Twitter. It's with great pride that I announce that our team successfully conducted another rescue of 13 Americans out of Haiti. Our team has now successfully rescued and evacuated more Americans than Biden and his entire administration. So Cory Mills rescued Americans from Afghanistan. He also rescued Americans from Israel. Republican Cory Mills rescues 13 more Americans trapped in Haiti, including a 2-month-old baby and toddler. I mean, what a mensch. What a hero. A Florida congressman slams failed leadership by the Biden administration for not taking action sooner, as 1,000 U.S. citizens are still trying to leave. Cory's a great guy. I helped him get elected to Congress. I can't wait for him to come on the show tonight. Let's see. Army veteran and Republican Cory Mills helped 13 more Americans escape war-torn Haiti over the weekend, as around 1,000 are still trapped in the country trying to escape. The Florida congressman revealed he had helped volunteers for a children's ministry evacuate. Among the 13 Americans was a 2-month-old baby and a 3-year-old girl. Like many, they made all attempts to work through the government, but with no success. The State Department said Monday that 1,000 U.S. citizens have filled out a crisis intake form seeking assistance to get out of Haiti. It is not hyperbole to say that this is one of the most dire humanitarian situations in the world. Okay, yeah, well, you know what? That's not our problem. It's not our problem that these people are living in filth. So let's go back to the chat. Let's also pull up some of these results right now, too. Let's see. Illinois is probably coming in right now, too. Let's see. President Trump has won Illinois. Great. Amazing. Breaking news. All right, do we have the map? Cannon? We're going to get this pulled up. Let's get our map. Cannon animated the map, so I know you all love it. Cannon, you want to get on your mic and tell everybody what you did for them tonight? Tell everybody what you did with this special map. You have a treat for everybody. Tell everybody what you did.
So I took the map.
Let's get it up on the screen.
Made it a little more fun. Here it goes.
Here it goes, you guys. Here's the map. What else? Nope, he hasn't. We don't know about Kansas yet. And Arizona. So we have to wait. Let's wait and see. Let's see Kansas. Let's see. Nothing. Let's see. All right, guys. So for those of you who are tuning in right now, President Trump has won Florida. He's won Ohio. He has also won Illinois. We are connecting with Cory Mills right now, Congressman Cory Mills from the state of Florida, Florida 7th District. So he will be joining us any moment now. And we're going to wait for the results to come in from Kansas and Arizona. But congratulations to President Trump, who just picked up another 125 delegates in the state of Florida, another 79 delegates in Ohio. And I believe we now have the congressman here. Congressman Mills, so great to see you.
Great to see you. How have you been?
I'm doing well. Look, you're amazing. You're like Superman in real time. Look, I mean, can we just fire Biden and put you in charge?
Well, I mean,
in
I
the
certainly
meantime,
get
till we
more
get
rescues and more
President
coverage
Trump?
than him.
Yeah.
Well, I'd much
Trump.
rather have President Trump.
Well, I prefer to have President Trump right now, but in terms of who's in charge of conducting the rescue missions, I mean, God, maybe we ought to send you into Gaza as well to go rescue the rest of these hostages. It just seems like you're the only one in our country that that is actually rescuing Americans. And so tell us about this, because I was just showing the news article. You're a representative, you're a first-time congressman in the state of Florida for Florida 7th District. And since you've been in Congress, you have conducted rescue missions, and you were in the United States Army in Afghanistan, in Israel, and now in Haiti. How many Americans have you rescued total? Because you just rescued 23 in Haiti.
So we've gotten about 23 in Haiti, 255 out of Israel, and about 36 out of Afghanistan between 2021.
Wow, that is incredible. And How does this work? I mean, a lot of people are wondering, why is it that our own government can't go rescue people, but a congressman from Florida has to go rescue Americans? Can you explain to
Well,
people
it's
how
not
you
even
go and do this, and if you have your own company, or how these rescue missions are taking place if you're able to, without, disclosing too much sensitive information?
Yeah, so that the government can't. It's not that they can't go out and rescue and help support Americans who are in harm's way. It's refused to because Biden's a pattern of abandonment, and that most of these would actually have been prevented if President Trump was in office. No, would have never have occurred. And so we'll go ahead and adjust that first. But the second is that, look, for a decade I had worked between the military, cultivating and building relationships with other operators I'd worked with in Iraq and Afghanistan, Kosovo, Pakistan, Somalia, all these other areas. And so when these types of incidents occur, the same guy who has been with me from the very beginning, who went to Israel for the rescues, went to Afghanistan for rescues, went to Haiti with me for these rescues, and our team has not changed. And so it's not really a company that from our military
Congressman,
back
I think
to be able to successfully carry out this.
I think your connection, Congressman, is fading out. I don't know if you're on Wi-Fi or if you're on cellular or not, but if you are able to, perhaps.
No, I'm sitting in the means that they're probably going and intercepting it. That's probably what it is.
Oh, probably, yeah. I mean, because our connection is good on our end, but I heard a bit of what you said. But so it's not that our government can't go and conduct these rescues. What you're saying is that they are intentionally choosing not to.
It's a pattern of abandonment where they just don't care going after the Americans, the optics. The reason that I keep doing these rescues is literally to shame their job. And Israel, when I finally got 96 out by ground, that's when they sent their first plane. In Haiti, they said they had no plans to actually rescue or try to help Americans. Now that we've gotten 23, they're sending a plane to Cap Haitien. The whole point is that we have to shame them into doing their job. But unfortunately, it's putting my own life at risk every time I do it, which I accept. Because at the end of the day, it used to, if you had a blue passport, didn't matter what district, didn't matter what state, didn't matter what your political affiliation was, your gender, your race, your faith. What mattered was that you were American, and that used to mean something. And it certainly meant something to President Trump. And that's why we need him back in office more than ever.
Yeah, we absolutely do need President Trump back in office. And that's why, I made that comment in the beginning. The joke is that, if we're not going to get President Trump back until January, right? I mean, if we're going to have this election in November, who are we going to have in the meantime, right? Like, how can Americans, you're one person, Cory. So I believe that the audio was cutting out a little earlier when I was asking you about this. So perhaps you can repeat this, and I apologize for making you answer a question twice. But what I wanted to know is, can you explain if you have a private company or how you go about doing this? Are you using your own money? Are there groups of people that are putting up resources for this? How does someone like you go in and rescue somebody? And is this a private operation?
So it is a private operation, and it is funded by me. And luckily, throughout the decades that I've served overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan and Kosovo and all these other areas, Somalia, I've cultivated and built relationships with other operators. And so I know kind of how to put a team together of people who can conduct certain types of operations. Each operation is unique, each rescue is unique, and so poses its own individual changes and challenges. And so one of the guys that's with me has been with me on Afghanistan, Israel, and Haiti, and he's continued to try and stick by me. And he's an expert in all things, a former special operations guy out of the Delta Force, Sea Squadrons. But I can tell you that, this is something that the military and that the whole of government could do if they wanted to. And again, we just have to shame them into doing their job. And it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, it puts a lot of lives at risk, to include out of that 13 that I just pulled out on Sunday from Haiti. You had a 3-year-old little girl and a 2-month-old baby. I could only imagine what would have happened had we not gone in, because they had been begging the State Department for support and help this entire time from the children's ministry.
Cory, we're seeing reports that from Floridians here in Florida, they're concerned. People all across America are concerned, but especially Floridians, because they want to know if Ron DeSantis is trying to repatriate Haitians or whether they're processing them here. There's been reports that Florida National Guard has set up a base in Isla Mirada, and that there's another base there's another interception area near Marquesa Key where a lot of these Haitians are coming in. And now there's reports that the U.S. government is working with the Bahamian government and the Bahamian Navy in order to intercept a lot of these Haitians before they get to Florida. However, there are Haitians that have unfortunately washed up on the shores of Jupiter and Palm Beach in the last few weeks. They've kept it very hush-hush, probably because Ron DeSantis doesn't want it getting out there that, you know, we are being invaded. And so are Haitians going to be repatriated? What is the process? What can you tell us as a member of Congress from the state of Florida about how these illegal alien criminal invaders are going to be dealt with?
Well, they should be immediately turned away and deported. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I mean, I can tell you that it's not just now. We've seen CBP numbers that's shown where a increase in Haitians coming across Eagle Pass has continued every single month. So now this is just another area that they're coming and washing onto our shores. But I haven't really talked to the governor or any of the state legislators on what our National Guard is doing. My understanding is that they were reinforcing the Coast Guard. I know they have had some really good interdictions recently where they stopped boats that had drugs and weapons and things like that on it and have repatriated and turned them around. But I can tell you right now, I think everyone should be concerned. I mean, our southern border and northern border is completely open. And now we've got Haitians knowing that the government has released thousands. The Haitian government released thousands of prisoners from their prison systems. And those are the people that are going to be washing up on our shores and threatening our communities.
But how do you repatriate somebody to a failed state, right? I guess, you know, it sounds all good and dandy. And Ron DeSantis can say that they're going to repatriate these people. But if you have a failed state, isn't that a bit of an oxymoron? If you don't have a government to receive somebody who is being deported back, that's what the definition of being repatriated is, right? Then how is that even possible? Is this just more, you know, fluff and false promises from Governor DeSantis? Because, I mean, you're not stupid, Cory, and I know the American people aren't stupid, Congressman, but you do know that, you know, that you can't repatriate somebody back to a failed state.
Well, I will say though that while the prime minister has resigned and who's sitting in Puerto Rico right now, and they're awaiting the idea of a interim government, which I think is a failed process, some of the actual government officials are still remaining in power. Remember, Jimmy Xavier, who's known as Barbecue, who used to be very close to the former president who was assassinated, used to be a national Haitian police officer. And so he has some of his buddies who he wants to remain in power, and he wants to continue to utilize terroristic capabilities to gain his own power vacuum, but also to support people who are not his opposition. And so there are some government which is there. We had to coordinate with some of the government when we were getting Haitian airspace approvals to fly into certain areas. We didn't tell them where we were flying into. We didn't tell them what time. We didn't tell them this, but we had to coordinate somewhat to where we didn't violate any airspace or any, you know, host nation laws. But there are some Haitian government which are still remaining in power right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you saw too, President Trump just won the Florida GOP primary. He actually took over 81% of the vote, and that's with 91% reporting. Ron DeSantis got 3.9% of the vote, and Nikki Haley got almost 15%. So it's unfortunate. Look, I mean, I think it's actually very fortunate, but it's unfortunate for Governor Ron DeSantis, of course, who has really just kind of destroyed his legacy. It's quite embarrassing for a governor who likes to claim he won over 20 points.
Well, those numbers actually concern me. Those numbers concern me more, that we have that many people in Florida who would be willing to back Nikki Haley. That's what makes me more terrified. And so while I'm very happy the president's unanimously sweeping the country, and rightfully so, will be our next president of the United States, I think that it does speak to kind of, you know, where Florida politics is at the moment when you have someone like Nikki Haley who's actually pulling in second place. And that's just a scary thing when you look at, you know, some of her policies and some of the things that she's made comments on. I mean, this is the Bush era, neoconservative kind of warmongers who wants to try and basically continue to drive up debt. And that's not what we need in this country. I'm just thankful that President Trump's going to go ahead and take the Oval Office back so we can get this country on track.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think? Do you think that that is a referendum on the fact that Ron DeSantis is an absent governor, as I like to call him, Florida's absentee governor? Do you think that the fact that Nikki Haley was able to get over, 13% more of the vote than Ron DeSantis, that is symbolic of his failed leadership and the fact that he decided to, skip an entire year? Do you think that that speaks to the fact that there are a lot of Republicans that have now grown to resent him when many of them loved him prior to him running? What do you think about that?
I think that it's a complete calculation.
We have closed primaries, and I don't want to cut you off, but we do have closed primaries in the state of Florida. So it's not like another state where you've seen Democrats able to open. Here in Florida,
Right.
only Republicans are allowed to vote in the primary. Yeah.
Well, I think that what you're seeing, if I had to actually look at it and put kind of my political analytic hat on, I would say that you have a lot of people who are within our America First MAGA base who are very upset at the fact that he ran against President Trump. And I think that when you look at the 13+% from the MAGA base, that does calculate to the numbers that Nikki got. And I think it's almost a little bit of a kind of a heads up that, we know that you tried to run against our president. You know that you should have waited your turn. And I think that it's a little bit of a snub towards him for that purpose. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, when I look around the country, we still have to admit that we have one of the greatest governors in the United States. And so I think that this, though, more than anything, is MAGA still just really upset at what he did because it was, I mean, wrong. He shouldn't have run against the very guy who put him into office. But I'm
Right.
still a little bit nervous that you have someone like Nikki Haley who's even being considered in any way, given her policies and her background.
Absolutely. I don't necessarily agree that he's one of the best governors in America, but I do think that comes. So yeah, Cory actually made me tell him where I was going to go so that he could come rescue me if need be. But so he really is very serious about these rescue missions, you guys. But you speak Arabic. You've served in Iraq. You're married to a woman, wonderful woman who converted. I believe to Catholicism. Her family, I've met your wife, was murdered by Islamic terrorists. And so despite all the true, and even if it was, his wife's a wonderful woman. I bring this up because you and your wife both, did a lot of, I guess you could say like military work, but also intel work in combating these terrorists who were trying to come to our country, right? These Iranian proxies in Hamas and Hezbollah, who many of them, of course, were in Iraq as well. And you and I have talked about this extensively. It's Ramadan right now, and a lot of people don't want to admit that we have been infiltrated. Perhaps you can speak to this, and maybe you can't because perhaps it's classified information, but have you received any briefings in Congress that suggest that we are going to be attacked in this month of Ramadan here in major American cities with the growing threat of Islamic terrorism with our open borders?
Well, I've not been necessarily briefed on that, although it has been a threat that has remained high. I have been saying for a long time it's not about if, but when. And we certainly have an uprising of these Islamic extremists who are coming into our country. We have over 178 countries that have crossed our borders. And this is something that we went overseas to combat for decades, and yet we're allowing them to come right through our borders and threaten us here at home. So, again, this is one of those failed strategies and policies. It's not having remained in Mexico, not having Title 42, not allowing our CBP and ICE agents to do their job as they did under President Trump is making us less safe. And I think that I'm not saying this to be fear monger or to be a hyperbolic, but I think that we'll see another 9/11 style attack that's attempted on a ground level, maybe in a subway, maybe at a tram station, things like this, because they'll understand the pressure and combustion capability within there. But I'll tell you, I'm certainly concerned because we're allowing these people who absolutely hate America to come in. And let me just say one more thing. When Joe Biden did what he called greatest airlift operation ever from Afghanistan, 70+% of the people he had on that aircraft had never even been vetted, had done biometrics. So he's also importing people directly here who could have had direct links to ISIS Khorasan, to Haqqani Network, to the Taliban direct. So there is a lot of little cells that are going to pop up that we need to be concerned with. And I look at places across the country that would be a potential threat and a potential risk. And certainly Michigan, right across the border, is one of those that pops up in my mind.
Michigan, Minneapolis, I think New York City, Atlanta, Chicago, Philadelphia, a lot of these places, Miami, Tampa.
That's right.
All the major cities, especially where they're having a lot of these like pro Palestine, free Palestine events, because these are pro Hamas rallies, and people don't seem to understand this.
Well, and look at what we're doing. I just want to point out one thing. Look at what we're doing. Joe Biden continues to send this message where they just killed 3 of our soldiers, 3 heroes out in Tower 22 in Jordan. And what did Biden do to hold the Iranian regime accountable? He released another $10 billion in fungible assets. I mean, this is the thing that's driving me insane, is that he has been so pro-China, so pro-Iran, so anti-America, to include the abandonment of all the Americans that I have to pull out and others. I mean, I have never seen such a corrupt and such a horrible president in my entire life.
Absolutely. And I think that they're obfuscating the actual number of individuals
100%.
on the terror list who are coming across, because I'll tell you right now, and I know you saw videos from my reports when I was out in the Darien Gap. I met people from
So good.
Afghanistan, from Morocco, from Iran. And these are people that, once I started asking them questions, and I met some people from Somalia, once I started asking some of these people some questions, they got really uncomfortable when I started, asking them about Al-Shabaab and the Taliban and, Hamas and Hezbollah, and, they're real chatty. And then once they realize that you actually have knowledge about, where they're from,
Right.
they don't want to talk to you. They turn around, and these people are just coming in, they're taking buses. And so, they said about 3,000 people a day when I was down there in one of the migrant camps alone, in Darien Gap. And I think that, a lot of people don't know that there was a Hezbollah attack in Panama that killed. They shot down an actual airplane in the 90s.
Yep.
Remember that? And they have
That's exactly right.
they have a bunch of Lebanese people that are coming in, and there's an entire town in Panama called Cologne where a lot of these Lebanese Hezbollah jihadis are coming in. They also have an entire town in Lebanon where people only speak Spanish and Arabic, because there's so many people there that are coming in through Central and South America, and they're making their way to the Darien Gap, which is why, of course,
Well, I mean, Laura, we have that right here at home. You go to Dearborn, Michigan, there's street signs, everything is written in Arabic. It's not even written in English. And you'd almost think that you're not in the United
Yeah.
States of America. So this has been going on for quite some time. Look, I've led and I have done so many counterterrorism operations and trainings abroad, thinking that I was actually preventing these individuals from coming here. And this administration is inviting them in with open arms.
Absolutely. Is there anything else about the growing terror threat, or anything else about the actual numbers of jihadists coming across our border that you are able to share as a member of Congress with our audience tonight? Because I don't know if you were able to listen to my monologue, but, I'm talking about how the left and the right now, unfortunately, there's a lot of Republicans that are trying to normalize Islam and Islamism in America. And I think that it's really dangerous right now. They're trying to say that the Palestinian fight is equal to the Israeli fight, and it's not. They need to understand that the plight of the Palestinians is not the same as the plight of those innocent Jews that were murdered on October 7th, because the people in Gaza elected Hamas to be their representative government with over 90% of the vote. So what can you tell people about Islam? What can you tell people? Because I get called an Islamophobe. I get called anti-Muslim. You've seen it up close in person. Is this a religion of peace? Are these people capable of assimilating?
Well, look, at the end of the day, you're exactly right. There's absolutely no comparison between what's happening to the Palestinian people that they've kind of invited in, and in some cases have even elected them in, very similar to what the Muslim Brotherhood was, to what the Israelis are facing, where 1,200 people were brutally murdered wrongfully on October 7th. And I was there back in Israel on October 11th, helping to get Americans out and addressing these issues through Tiberias and Haifa and Nazareth and West Bank and Jerusalem, etc., trying to help those to get out. But the bottom line is that the first charter of Hamas is to wipe out and exterminate the Jews. I mean, you can't say that you're coming from a peaceful perspective, or that you're just talking about the idea that you are in some way being occupied, when you're an elected representative and your first charter is to eliminate the Jewish people, to eliminate the Jewish state. And so what's happening right now has been invited in. The Palestinian Authority had elected them, and most of the actual leaders of Hamas, who, by the way, was even helped funded by UNRWA, who the United States put $343 million to last year. UNRWA was the one that was actually 12 of the members of their 13,000 actually was an active participant in the attacks itself, with thousands of the teachers who teach this hate speech of where you should hate the Jews and hate the other people, and essentially try and join the fight of jihad. I mean, this is the type of thing that they're trying to teach in these schools that's being funded by international communities. So they're not the same. They are radicalized. They are trying to exterminate the Jews and the Christians to dominate the world. So I don't think that the Palestinian Authority or the Hamas fighters who were elected in can try and say that they're a person of peace. I think it would actually prove quite contrary to their claims.
Do you think that it's fair to say, given your counterterrorism background and your stature as a member of the U.S. Congress, and somebody who has been in our military and continues to do these rescue missions in Middle Eastern nations and other nations as well, Is it fair to say that the Free Palestine movement is a pro-Hamas jihadist movement?
Yeah, I absolutely see it that way because what they would understand very clearly is that when you're talking about Hamas, who is utilizing human shields that these people elected into, is there actual fogs of war and collateral damage that occurs in every war? Yes, war is nasty, but we also have to remind people it wasn't the Israelis who actually invited this war. They weren't responsible for what occurred on October 7th. And I'm not saying that we should basically play a tit for tat, but in my personal opinion, advising the Israeli Defense Force to stop their combating operations to get rid of Hamas would be a victory for Hamas and a victory for the Iranian regime. And so the only way that you're going to ensure that Palestine could be a place of peace or a place of resettlement is to eliminate all the terroristic capabilities that has been given by Iran to Hamas and completely eliminate them. And so I don't support the ceasefire that's being pushed. I don't support this unbelievable timeline that Biden's trying to force on. And then I would remind people, could you imagine if after 9/11, if there was an international country who told us that we should stop our invasion or stop our attacks against terrorists in Afghanistan after they'd attacked us, what would our response have been? That's the same scenario for October 7th. The United States and Chuck Schumer shouldn't be trying to put pressure on Netanyahu
Yeah.
and the Israeli Defense Force. And so that's just, in my opinion, it's absolutely their sovereign right to defend themselves. And that's what Israel's doing.
That was going to be my next question about what you thought about Chuck Schumer and Democrats pushing for regime change in Israel, but you just answered it. Another thing I wanted to know is, a lot of people don't know about this individual. He's somebody who I exposed the day that Joe Biden, assumed the transition of power, and his name is Maher Bitar. His name is Maher Bitar, and he is currently the director of intelligence at the National Security Council and a senior advisor to Joe Biden at the White House. And this guy is a Palestinian Muslim, a supporter of the BDS movement, a supporter and a former member of SJP, and also a supporter of UNRWA. And this is the guy who is in charge of our intelligence, at the National Security Council, and was in charge of it at the time of October 7th. Is there a way that you can call for an investigation into Maher Bitar and the actions he took in the weeks leading up to October 7th to divert intel capabilities? Because you and I both know that the United States government shares intelligence when it comes to counterterrorism with Hamas and Hezbollah.
Right.
They share intelligence with Mossad. And the Israeli government. And so it would explain why there was a giant intelligence failure between Mossad and our own intel agencies here in America if the Palestinian Muslim BDS supporter who hates Jews and hates Israel and is in support of Hamas redirected intel capabilities and resources in the weeks leading up to October 7th. Can you speak on that about Maher Bitar at all, or whether or not anybody is going to investigate him?
So that's not my actual committee of jurisdiction. That falls under the House Intelligence Permanent Select Committee, which I don't sit on. I sit on Armed Services and Foreign Affairs. However, having said that, I do know that Egypt and others who are part of the Five Eye partnerships did inform that this was a potential threat and that that was going to go. They didn't give the details exactly on how the attack was going to be carried out, but they were pretty close to the dates in which the attacks would be carried out. I think that, and this happened in the United States as well on 9/11, is that you get so many continual reports of a potential attack that I think that certain governments and certain agencies get very callous to it, to the fact of, well, we've heard this before type thing, as opposed to ramping up and taking the appropriate actions. And so I think that there's also a complacency that set in on this, where they didn't see the feasibility of this operation being carried out, but they had forgotten some of the key pieces, which is the available income that was given to Iran when it came to, Biden not imposing the sanctions for the oil exportation, the $10 billion in fungible assets that was unfrozen. And so all of these things played a factor into to Hamas having the capability to carry out such attacks.
Yeah, but it just seems like people like Robert Malley and Maher Bitar are not being held accountable. Do you think that it's appropriate for people like Maher Bitar, a former member of SJP and a supporter of UNRWA and BDS, to be the director of intelligence at NSC? I just don't know why nobody in Congress is talking about it.
I would go ahead and say that there's not a single person that Biden's appointed throughout his entire administration that I would find to be appropriate. But yeah, you're just kidding on one of many.
Yeah, I just think that this has been severely
I mean, you're also forgetting Jake Sullivan, who's actually an Iranian sympathizer who actually was the creator and the brainchild of Resolution 2231 JCPOA that gave the leniency upon Iran that President Trump eliminated, that was putting them into a very difficult position. And Iran was ready to capitulate under President Trump. And it was Biden who took his foot off their throat and allowed them to have all of this additional income to be able to launch the attacks that we're seeing, whether it's the Houthi rebels who's disrupting 12% of global trade, whether it's the attack by Hamas, whether it's the 159 attacks in Iraq, whether it's the 3 soldiers in Jordan who just lost their lives, whether it's the Afghanistan rally with the ISIS Khorasan. I mean, look, these are all Iranian-backed regimes that were not able to launch these attacks under President Trump, but because of Biden, he's given them the actual available income and fungible assets to be able to do so.
Absolutely. I want to finish by playing this clip of you from a local Fox 5 station. I know you posted this as well. I just want to show people some of the video of your rescue mission because I just think, one, it's, super amazing, but it's also really badass and cool. So people should just watch it. Let's go ahead and play the clip.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm John Brown.
And I'm Marlisa Goldsmith. Mills organized this rescue mission, and Fox 35's Manny Martinez is live in studio tonight. So, Manny, you spoke with a representative and learned this mission was pretty intense.
Yeah, and here in this video, you'll see everyone packed into a helicopter. The rescue had happened early yesterday morning, and Mills says he used his military background to take advantage, and it came together as quickly as it took to carry out.
This video shows the relief on the faces of 10 Americans now safely out of Haiti. A crew of 4 led by Congressman Cory Mills executed the daring rescue.
This is a very high-risk, high-stress moment for them. They had been reaching out to the State Department. They had been reaching out to friends in the area. They were looking at every available option, which was minimizing by the minute.
This is what the group escaped. Violence in the streets as the Haitian prime minister, who's set to resign, sits stuck in Puerto Rico. The UN estimates gangs now control 80% of the capital city of Port-au-Prince. Most of the rescued group is from Michigan, in Haiti for charity work.
These are people who are literally there trying to help children. These are people who are trying to look out for others, and to be able to kind of pay that forward and be able to do something kind for those in need. That's the greatest thing in the world. And so it was just, profusely thanking us for getting him to safety.
This is Mills' 3rd such rescue. He went to Afghanistan in 2021 and evacuated hundreds out of Israel in the fall. This time, he and his team had only minutes on the ground in the cover of darkness to get it done.
I didn't know the exact timing. I had texted him 31 minutes from the time that we were going to pick up and said, we're en route, 1 stop, no bags, bring your documents. You can bring a laptop at minimum, quick load, make sure you're there.
That's incredible. I mean, that's amazing. How many people went with you on this mission?
So just the pilot, co-pilot, and one of the guys I've known for many, many years who's been on every rescue with me, who's a former soft guy.
And how did that work? You just told Speaker Johnson, "Hey, I got to go rescue some Americans," or
Look, I mean, what at the end of the day, I didn't miss a single vote, and what I do on my weekend and what I do in the interim, I mean, that's on me. I know I have a responsibility and a duty that I need to fulfill for the 7th of Florida.
That's incredible.
There's also Americans in need.
So this was your extracurricular. This is how Cory Mills spent his weekend.
While everyone sits on the beach on their weekends, this is what I do for my fun.
Yeah. So while it's spring break in Miami and a lot of representatives are probably being degenerates and doing whatever, Cory Mills literally went to Haiti and rescued 23 Americans. I mean, the guy's a total badass. So Congressman Mills, thank you so much. Where can people follow you? How can people support you? It's an election year. You're running for re-election, of course. How do people support you? I think that if there's anybody worthy of re-election and a campaign contribution, it's you. How do people go about doing that?
Well, thank you. You can actually go to our website at millsforflorida.com. You can follow me on Truth at Mills for Florida or on Twitter at Cory Mills FL. And again, I appreciate all the support. It means a lot. And thank you, Laura, for this great time to just be able to talk and go through things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm happy that you're in Congress, and I hope to see you in Congress again, a strong supporter of President Trump since day one. So, Congressman Mills, thank you so much. You're an American hero. Thanks for coming on Loomer Unleashed tonight.
Thank you. God bless.
Yeah, thank you. Wow. Amazing. He's just so incredible. I love Cory Mills. He's a great guy, great patriot. We were running for Congress at the same time. He was in Florida 7th District, and I was running, of course, in the 11th District. We're about to be joined by my friend Paul Ingracia, who's going to talk about the amicus brief he submitted to the Supreme Court today. But before that, I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of tonight's episode of Loomer Unleashed. Genucel. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you have 3 minutes in the morning or 30 minutes, keep your face wrinkle-free. It's very important. Introducing Gen 90, the new instant wrinkle treatment from Genucel. Gen 90 instantly reduces the appearance of wrinkles anywhere you use it, around your eyes, your forehead, your crow's feet, your laugh lines, and even your chin. You can go to genucel.com/Loomer, genucel.com/Loomer. You see, Gen 90 and the Genucel products start working in seconds. You never have to worry about your skin or your confidence ever again. The Gen 90 technology is luxurious, nourishing, and silk smooth. And best of all, it starts working in seconds. I know because I feel the tingle every single time. There's a reason why Genucel has a 400% customer loyalty rate compared to other skincare brands. And now you also get Genucel 15. Great products. Genucel.com/Loomer. The Collagen Builder Moisturizer with vitamin C and hyaluronic acid, a pure natural base for stunning results day after day. I use it on my face. People ask me, what do you use for your skin? I use Genucel. I love it. Here's the Gen 90. I use the face sculpting cream as well, and I love the anti-wrinkle cream because, you know, I don't know. I'm just so stressed out all the time that, you know, I need my skincare. So, again, you guys, Gen 90 and 15 are on special sale now at genucel.com/Loomer, included in the bestseller package, the best value in skincare anywhere. So before you go overseas to get harsh procedures and spend thousands of dollars on Botox, try Gen 90 first. Make your fine lines and wrinkles disappear wherever they are before you even leave the room. Again, that's genucel.com/Loomer, genucel.com/Loomer for their spring sale. Today is officially the first day of spring, so celebrate the first day of spring by ordering your skincare today. Again, that's genucel.com/Loomer, genucel.com/Loomer, and get a free beauty box and deep firming serum while supplies last, plus free shipping on all orders. genucel.com/Loomer. All right. Love my Genucel. So, joining me now, also, before we get to Paul Ingracia, let's check and see, because we do have some updates, I know. Let's see, Kansas. We're waiting on Kansas and Arizona, right? Kansas and Arizona. We have President Trump has won Florida, Ohio, and Illinois. Let's see. President Trump just won Kansas. Breaking. President Trump has won the Kansas GOP primary, you guys. So we're going to, before we get Paul on, we got to get our map. We got to get our map up. Let's go, Cannon. Woo! Get on your mic. Let's get ready to use those nice little sound effects. We have it. All righty. Joining me now is my friend and lawyer and also the director of communications for the NCLU, the National Constitutional Law Union, my friend, Paul Ingracia. Paul, so great to have you on Loomer Unleashed tonight. It's been a long time coming.
Hey, Laura, thank you so much for having me on tonight. It's a really special night now with President Trump, with all these victories that we're seeing.
It's amazing.
Map. I love that map, by the way.
Thank you. We made it. We made that map, and we really love the map. It's a great map. It's a beautiful map, the greatest map, believe me, as President Trump would say. And now we're just waiting on Arizona. But, of course, we're not Fox News, so we're not going to be calling Arizona early, although maybe we should. Should we call Arizona early and pull a Fox News? Trump's going to win Arizona. What do you say?
Well, you know, Trump likes to get ahead of the game. He likes to call victories before the official polls close. So I think that's a good idea. I think we should
breaking.
Why don't we call Arizona for the primary and also for the
I'm going to pull, I'm going to tweet this right now. I'm going to pull a Fox News and call Arizona early. President Trump has won the Arizona GOP primary. Let's see. We have that, and then you can go retweet it. How about that?
Yeah, I'll retweet it. So what do we know about Maricopa County? Have they worked
we'll
on their
see.
issues?
I don't know, but I just posted. I'm going to pull a Fox News and call Arizona early. President Trump has won the Arizona GOP primary. All righty. So then we have our election coverage done tonight, right? Amazing.
Fantastic.
Paul, all jokes aside, you're a lawyer. You're with NCLU now. Congratulations on the new job, by the way. And today you submitted an amicus brief with the Supreme Court. Tell us about that. We have that here pulled up. I'm going to go through it as well. But tell us what you did today.
So today was the final day in which all the amicus briefs, the friend of the court briefs, were due. Actually, Donald Trump also submitted his own argument. And this is for, of course, the presidential immunity case. I mean, if you don't have presidential immunity, then you're not going to have a functional executive branch. The president will basically be hamstrung from doing anything. I mean, the theory of the case is very simple. And the point of the brief that we submitted as part of the NCLU, as part of also the New York Young Republican Club and Gavin Wax, was, contextualizing executive powers, presidential powers, based on their original meaning, as expounded upon by Alexander Hamilton and other founding fathers in the Federalist Papers. So basically, we took what they said in those articles and applied those articles to the law. And what they basically maintain is pretty much the common sense view that a president should have not just autonomy over his branch of government, but basically they call for a unitary executive, meaning that the president should have full control over the executive branch. That includes all officers underneath him, his subordinates, those in the federal bureaucracy, the administrative state or the deep state. I mean, this is pretty straightforward based on Hamilton's original conception of the of the executive branch from Federalist 69, 70, 76, and 77. But separate and apart from that, Jack Smith, this radical special prosecutor, as we know, this radical far left prosecutor is trying to say that the president, in making general inquiries about the election fraud in states like Georgia, basically overstepped his official duties as president. He was acting outside the scope of his official duties, even though there is a clause in the Constitution, namely the Take Care Clause, which says that the president has a responsibility to take care that all the laws are executed fairly and in accordance with their original intent. And of course, that's what the president has done. He's truthed about this multiple times since he's left office regarding presidential immunity, that he has a responsibility to the country to make sure that the laws are applied fairly, and making general inquiries about, whether there's election fraud. I mean, that's a responsibility that I would think falls upon the president to make sure that there are no issues. So, I mean, the case basically on its face, you would expect it to be a slam dunk for President Trump. Hopefully, based on how they recently decided with this Colorado decision, the 9-0 unanimous decision, hopefully that will portend good things to come for this decision. But, our brief was basically adding more support to President Trump's argument, saying that official actions.
I'm going through it right now. I'm going through it. We can get it pulled up on the screen, perhaps. But I'm looking at this, and let's see. The impeachment judgment clause was intended by the founders as a bulwark against politically motivated prosecutions. Okay, so you wrote this, and let's see. It's pretty long. Let's see. How many pages is this?
It's a long one. We had to cut it down a little bit.
28 pages. 28 pages, and let's see. Pretty extensive. Where can people go to read this if they want to read it? I mean, we have it pulled up right. We're going to get it pulled up right now in a PDF file, but I guess I could post the PDF or so underneath the tweet for people that are following this on X, because it's a lot to talk about on the show. Perhaps you can break it down. Like, what is the reason why, for people that may not know this? Like, break it down simply for for people that may not have any legal background, right? Like, what is an
Right.
amicus brief? What is the purpose of doing this? Like, why are you and Gavin and John Pierce and NCLU writing an amicus brief in support of President Trump? For people, because
Well,
we see there's some people in the chat that don't really know what that is.
Well, every single Supreme Court, this happens with every decision that people on both sides, both parties, have other outside parties not affiliated with the decision. None of us are official lawyers for President Trump, but we write arguments if we have a stake in the case in support of or against the argument before the court. So, given that the NCLU is very actively involved in constitutional issues and upholding the Constitution, First Amendment, Second Amendment issues, we believe that we had a strong interest in this case. And obviously, we strongly feel that if President Trump is not given the proper immunity that he deserves, that legal precedent supports, that the executive branch will no longer be functional. And if the executive branch is dysfunctional, you're not going to have a free country. You will have bad government, as Hamilton wrote about in the Federalist Papers. So that was the reason why we specifically submitted this brief. But these amicus briefs, it's a Latin word, amicus, just meaning friend of the court. We literally are friends. We're actually friends of President Trump. So it makes sense that we would submit a brief on his behalf. And sometimes the justices, it's really also an aid for the justices. So sometimes, sometimes the justices aren't aware of certain arguments. They have a lot on their docket. Maybe we could bring a certain fresh angle to an argument that they might overlook or go into further detail. In this specific brief, we wanted to go into the history of the Federalist Papers and how the Founding Fathers really conceived of executive power. So that's kind of what we wanted to bring to light here with this brief. And I think we did a pretty good and thorough job in doing so.
I want to get your take on another issue as well. Today we saw a judge rule that illegal aliens can have access to firearms. What do you think about this? Let's get this pulled up on the screen as well. Judge rules illegal aliens can have firearms. So,
well,
what do you think about this? This is pretty crazy.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. I mean, you have anarcho-tyranny where they'll arm illegals and non-citizens and disarm American citizens. So that's basically what you're getting here. Obviously, they want to empower criminals. They want to destroy our country. You're seeing it. I'm in New York City. I see how bad the illegal migrant crisis is in New York. Obviously, Laura, you understand it from being down in South America and seeing where the main
and we just got some breaking news right now. Breaking news coming in from my producer. Apparently tomorrow, I'm being told that Ron DeSantis is going to be a source of mine. Actually, just sent this to me while we're live on air. Apparently tomorrow at the Marathon Airport in the morning, Ron DeSantis is going to be having a press conference he's going to be having a press conference. Let me read this as it came in right now because I'm getting a real update from the source right now. Update from the National Guard source. There's a press conference tomorrow on the National Guard's response to the Haitian invasion. It's going to be held at the Marathon Airport in Florida. Soldiers believe Ron DeSantis and top brass at state level are going to be attending. So, yeah, I guess tomorrow we're going to be getting an update, some kind of a press conference from Governor Ron DeSantis after his abysmal loss tonight. He's got to do something, right? He's got to do something to distract away from the fact that he just got his ass kicked in his own home state. So what do you think about that? What do you think about this?
How about Governor DeSantis, I call him governor. I think he's also illegitimate at this point, and you know better than anyone. But really, he should be transparent about how many illegals are in his state. I mean, that we've never been able to get the bottom. We've never been able to get to the bottom of that. Florida has an illegal crisis just as bad as Texas, New York, all these other places. So, and obviously DeSantis likes to frame himself as the conservative governor, that he's doing a lot to fight against these issues. But in reality, Florida is being devastated by it just like any other state. And, it's ridiculous that he continues to do these political stunts. And And rather than, and he still really hasn't supported Donald Trump. He still hasn't like gotten
No,
on.
he never told anybody today to go out and vote.
And,
He could have
right,
told people
exactly.
to vote for Trump, but he didn't,
Right. I know. I mean, what has he done about the Mar-a-Lago raid? He still hasn't said anything about that. What has he done to try to fight against the weaponized system of justice? Nothing. So, I mean, he has a lot of work to do in the state of Florida. And, he's still, I think he's still just whining and crying about his being destroyed in in the primary process.
I wonder what time this press conference is going to be tomorrow. I had plans tomorrow to go somewhere else, but
you might have to be there
tomorrow. But I might need to go. I might need to go to this press conference instead. I got to bring the bullhorn.
You might have to Loomer him. Where are you planning on throwing meatballs at? Get the bullhorn out.
I miss it so much. I miss bullhorning Ron so much.
Yeah, I mean, that was your photo. That's the iconic Loomer photo with the
Florida? Do you want to come to Florida? We got to go see the governor.
I do. I'll be down there. I'll be down there tomorrow. I'll take the next flight. I need a bullhorn though. Do you have do you give those bullhorns away to fans? You should do a giveaway.
No, but maybe I should. Maybe I should start.
Yeah, fine, then.
Maybe I need a bullhorn sponsor. Maybe I can get a bullhorn sponsor and then I can give sweepstakes away, get your own Loomered bullhorn. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean,
do any of my supporters have bullhorn, the capability to make bullhorns? Let's go to the chat. Let's see, because we're going to have some people take some questions from you. Well, you're going to answer some questions. I'm going to force you, Paul. You don't have a choice. I'm going to force you to answer questions from the chat since the chat loves you and everything. Loomering and the Keys. But the Marathon Airport is going to be so far away. That's really far away.
Yeah, you should. I see golden bullhorn. I think the golden sneakers, get a golden bullhorn and give those away.
I don't know if I could get there on time. I don't think that I could get to the Marathon Airport on time. Let's see. They said Loomering and the Keys, Clone Laura. Let's see. Words of the info on X. I made an action figure Photoshop with a golden bullhorn. Yep. I really want to get some bullhorn. $100 a month. Supporters get a Loomer bullhorn.
I like that idea.
Yeah, it could be good. A bullhorn contest, We'll see. We could have a bullhorn contest. We actually could. What do you think about this, though? You live in New York. What do you think? I'm sure you noticed that tonight we have Muhammad in the gator head tonight. So we've got for Ramadan, we've got Muhammad in the gator head tonight. Since all of the jihadis on Twitter decided to attack me the other night because of my appearance on Fresh and Fit. You saw me on Fresh and Fit. What'd you think?
I was watching.
What'd you think? What'd you think about when the girl was asking me about Islam? What'd you think?
I may have missed that part. Was that the first or second half? I think I missed that part, Laura. What happened?
What did you think about my appearance on Fresh and Fit?
I thought it was good. I mean, it was. I was surprised actually to see you on that show. It's not the type of show that I would expect you to be on. But you went into the lion's den. You're not afraid to go anywhere, Laura. So that's just another example. And I thought you did a very, very good job.
It's a lot of fun. I really loved it. It's actually kind of like a guilty pleasure, I like watching really ratchet girls get their asses handed to them as my guilty pleasure till 2:00 in the morning. I watch it. I was up till 2:00 in the morning watching it last night. I was up till 2:00 in the morning watching it. It's starting to actually affect my sleeping abilities. I'm going to play this clip for you because, we were talking about in the monologue, right? I have all these jihadis attacking me. We just had Congressman Cory Mills coming on. And one of the girls on the panel asked me, she goes, oh, well, I thought, I rolled my eyes at you because I thought that you were anti-Islam. And why do we have this anti-Muslim girl on the panel? And now, every single jihadi, Ali Dawa and freaking Muhammad Hijab, who's a total jihadist, radical Muslim. And then now, Tommy Robinson is fighting with Sneeko online about it as well because they're just attacking me. They're attacking me because I spoke the truth. So let's go ahead and play this interaction because, I don't know if you caught my monologue, but it is really interesting how we can't even have a conversation in this country anymore about factual things without people losing their mind. Go ahead. I mean, what did I say that was wrong? The whole internet. I mean, honestly, I was literally. Oh, we have we have Myron from Fresh and Fit right now. He just sent a super chat
He's in
and
the
he said
comments.
those bimbos
He's in
got
the
loomered. Shout out to Myron. W Myron, go subscribe to Fresh and Fit Miami. Yes. So yeah, they definitely did get loomered, but no, like these guys were attacking me and they were trying to attack Myron, who, you know, he's a really nice guy. You know, he's a really, really nice person. And he's a Muslim. And they were like, oh, you hate Muslims. You just hate Muslim people. And I'm like, why would I be hanging out on Myron's show right now? And like, genuinely, I'm not just saying this. He's a very nice person. And all of these like radical Muslim accounts started attacking me online and saying, they were attacking him as well, saying, oh, he's not a real Muslim. He's not a good Muslim because, you know, he had this Zionist woman on. And you can see one of these people here. His name is Daniel. I don't know. This is one of like the accounts. He started attacking me. He goes, oh, hey, Laura Loomer. Okay. You want to insult Muslims in Ramadan. Why don't you debate me on Fresh and Fit, Judaism versus Islam on women? Usually Fresh and Fit is a multi-host show. We can just make it a one-host show for Ramadan. I'll teach the world what your vile religion actually says about women. And then he tagged him and was like, don't run away, you plastic ghoul. So, and then you have other tweets too, where all these guys started jumping in. And we have another clip as well. We have another clip where, you know, they're just like going crazy. Like, why would I want to go and have a conversation with men like this when they're just going to be disrespectful? Let's see. We have another one. We have another clip as well of these guys of Sneeko talking on his show, his Ramadan show with Ali Dawa and Muhammad Hijab. And it's like, I don't know what you think about this, but I think that Americans need to be concerned because you live in New York City. And as I just showed you, and you've been seeing with the migrant crisis, the next thing that's going to happen, Paul, is we're going to start to have Sharia law. We're going to start to have Sharia law in America. And we're already seeing the way that our justice system is being weaponized. And that's another reason I wanted to have you on tonight. I'm going to play this clip and ask you what you think about, you know, what you've seen through your own practice of law in America and whether you think that these migrants in New York City are going to start pushing for different interpretations of our law. If we're now going to be giving illegal aliens access to the Second Amendment, how long before we start allowing for Muslim enclaves in America to practice Sharia law? So go ahead and play the clip.
But there's another thing, which is this, which is moral courage. So you have the physical courage and you have the moral courage. Moral courage is to speak what is true. And so with someone like Myron or someone like Fresh and Fit, what I would say to them, bro, is, with all due respect, like recently there was some kind of thing where a woman, I didn't even watch it, but I was told about it. She was attacking the Prophet and she was
Zionist, yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't say anything. So I would say this is lacking in moral courage. Now, I'm not saying you're a coward. Maybe you just had the wrong idea about it. We're not going to throw you under the bus like that, Myron. But what we're saying is that the next step for the true rites of passage, for you to be a real man, from all perspectives, not just from the perspective of Islam, from virtue ethics times, from Aristotle's time.
What do you think about that? Do you think that it doesn't make you a real man if you don't, you know, sit there and allow for a woman to speak truth about Islam?
Well, I mean, listen, you just had Cory Mills on speaking about how communities like in Dearborn, Michigan, and really other places, really Europe is the epicenter of this, but you're seeing it gradually in the United States too, since people are crossing the border. And as President Trump says, they're coming from all over the place these days. They're coming from Islamic countries. They're not just coming from Latin America, South America like they used to. So, you know, you're going to see a transformation of the culture, the language, the religion, your rights. And you're seeing that really all across the board. When you have many people who don't understand Western values, our tradition, our legal code, Anglo-American law, you're seeing an erosion of that across the board. And you're seeing that reflected in the weaponization of the justice system, how judges misinterpret or don't understand the Constitution and apply it against political opponents. We're becoming a banana republic in large part because of our broken, corrupt immigration system in which third world people come in, infiltrate our country, and change our entire national landscape. So, you know, that's what you're seeing more and more of. Obviously, it's the great replacement. This is kind of exactly what is happening in overdrive under Joe Biden. And it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate reality. It's the biggest issue that we're facing as a country this election cycle. And, that's all the more reason why we need President Trump back in office.
Absolutely.
But you're seeing the effects in real time, now, in terms of bringing new, obviously, ideas regarding religion, regarding, implementing Sharia law in certain communities. Islam, on one hand, you have the left that wants a, rigid separation of church and state. They want secular values. They want, basically now they're arguing for a new form of religion that's basically satanic in terms of, abortion, transgenderism, what they want to do to school children, taking away parental rights and so on and so forth. But then on the other hand, with all these Islamic cultures and these other religions, who the hell knows where else they're coming from. They bring their own customs in here and have a totally different outlook. So, you're seeing basically the abandonment of traditional American values, in which, basically it's
and it's an
almost
intolerance
devastating.
too, right? Like what you're
Exactly.
seeing now is you're starting to see people in the podcast culture be intolerant of other people who are Americanized Muslims. Like, okay, Myron, for example, right, on his show, allowed for conversation to take place. But then you have these, British jihadists who are trying to use the podcast movement, and they're in favor of mass migration, okay? Some of these like British Muslims who are advocating for this kind of stuff, and they're trying to eradicate our tolerance for free speech here in America. So you don't have free speech. Like with the importation of the third world, you become the third world. And I just hope that, people start to understand this, because this is a perfect example of it. Like watching this Ramadan stream of men who are trying to essentially bully another man who's an American citizen and actually respects free speech and actually is a free speech absolutist by imposing their Islamic blasphemy laws and their basically like Sharia speech code onto a conversation. And we're going to start to see that in our own legal system here too. Do you see any changes to our legal system now as it relates to migrants? Like you have a lot of illegals, I'm sure, that are getting pro bono representation in New York. Are you starting to see like a market expand for more immigration law in New York?
Well, obviously, we're talking about potential illegals having right to vote, driver's license already. They're already voting in local elections in many cases. So obviously, you're seeing a greater push by the left to get illegals to vote in federal elections. Obviously, they're getting all the privileges of citizenship without having to work for it, while our own citizens are basically being killed by the government. With fentanyl, with open borders, with high rising crime, with inflation. And it's been devastating for our country. So, on the one hand, illegals get all the benefits without any of the costs. And on the other hand, our own citizens are being destroyed. So, yes, you are seeing that already. You're seeing it in schools. And now, just to play the devil's advocate a little bit, I mean, listen, our culture has become much secular, very woke. But, you can't correct a wrong with another wrong. It's not like you could import radical Islam and think that you're going to get a corrective and back to a traditional society. That's not the way it works. Some people in Europe, especially where a country like the United Kingdom, for example, that has imported so many Muslims, and where, Muhammad is the most common name now among babies born in London. I mean, that's not going to change your society back to traditional England, back how it was in the 1950s. That's just going to completely change your country into something totally different than anything it ever was in the past. So it's not like Islam could be a corrective to return Europe back to like a traditional society, which some of these people in the podcast, world try to promote. That's not the case. Basically the West has to reclaim its nature, its values, and understand its identity again, close its borders, and understand that it is a culture that should be celebrated. We had the best legal system ever invented in human history. We had the best free speech laws, the best protections for religious liberty. And, that we had the best societies and cultures that flourished as a result of that. I mean, that's what America long stood for. That's why we were the greatest, arguably the greatest country ever created. So, that's what Make America Great Again ultimately means, to bring it back to Donald Trump and the movement, because we like to do that. But that's ultimately what the underlying principle is of of this movement that he stands for, to reclaim our identity as a people, to stand up for what made us great in the past, and hopefully make us great again in the future.
Absolutely. Anything else that you want to add, Paul? Where can people follow you? Where can people read your brief?
So it should be published tomorrow on SCOTUS blog. That's like if you're really into lawyering, if you want to read that, it's on SCOTUS blog. I'll probably tweet it as well. My Twitter handle is Paul Ingracia, at Paul Ingracia. And also, I would encourage your viewers to follow and subscribe to my Substack page, paulingracia.substack.com, paulingracia.substack.com. President Trump frequently retruths my articles, and
You're
I
his
cover
favorite
a lot.
Substacker, aren't you?
I would say so. I would think so. But
you're
I
favorite
cover the
Substacker.
election, him, legal analysis, all of that and more. You can find it there.
Great. And what's your Twitter and your True Social?
Twitter and Truth, both at Paul Ingracia, at Paul Ingracia.
Awesome. Let me know when you're in town. Would love to see you. Of course, I know that you're going to be at Mar-a-Lago. I'll be at Mar-a-Lago as well for some events in the next few weeks. So it'll be great to catch up with you and keep up all your great work. I know you're doing amazing work supporting President Trump this election season. So keep it up.
You too, Laura. Keep up the great work.
Yep, thank you.
You take care.
You too. And you stay safe out there in New York. I mean, it's a zoo, man. It's an absolute zoo.
I will. You stay safe from Ron DeSantis and all of his crazy supporters still out there in Florida. And all those spring break people, too. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you. Well, that was Paul Ingracia, who's doing great work right now. Great work, in support of President Trump. Good friend of mine. Before we move on, we're gonna show a clip today that Charles, our Loomer Unleashed DC correspondent, was able to get in Washington, D.C. But before we continue, I want to take a moment to thank the second sponsor of tonight's episode of Loomer Unleashed, 1775 Coffee. You can go to 1775coffee.com/Loomer. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate bad coffee? I mean, let's be honest, right? I think that there's nothing worse than really bad coffee, which is why I'm so excited to introduce all of you guys to a company revolting against bad coffee. 1775coffee.com. You can see here, speaking of Fresh and Fed, I saw Chris Pavlovsky, the CEO, was actually on last night, and they were talking about this as well. And he's the CEO of Rumble and was talking about how this is one of the products that they're going to be using with exclusive Rumble creators, right? The 1775 coffee, because, when you're a content creator, you're sometimes censored and shut down. And, sometimes it's really hard to get advertisers. But 1775 coffee is the coffee that is now partnered with Rumble. And so if you are controversial or you just speak the truth, you don't even have to be controversial. If you're like me and you're just deemed controversial for speaking the truth, don't be all sad and down about it, because now you can get 1775 coffee. You can support me and my work by ordering 1775 coffee. The world awakened to a new era in 1775, and now 1775 coffee is bringing you a coffee that embodies that revolutionary spirit. Crafted with passion and precision, our beans are ethically and exclusively sourced from the finest coffee farms of Bolivia. 1775 coffee is farm-to-cup journey, and it ensures the highest quality, authenticity, and sustainability from start to finish. With each sip, your palate will recognize and appreciate the dedication and passion that goes into crafting this single-source brew. 1775 Coffee takes pride in offering customers a truly exceptional coffee experience with their premium coffee collection, but their dedication to this revolution extends beyond the realm of taste. You can see here, 1775coffee.com/Loomer. Safeguarding freedom of speech is critical right now, which is why 1775 Coffee has joined forces with Rumble in defense of one of our most fundamental rights, freedom of speech. Coffee that's sure to awaken all the senses, including the sense of freedom. Choose 1775 Coffee by going to 1775coffee.com/Loomer and use code Loomer for 10% off at checkout on your first order. Again, 1775 Coffee is brewed to perfection with a sense of revolution. So I think that it's great. I think it's really great to have a patriotic brand of coffee that is safeguarding free speech. So support me, support Rumble, Support free speech by ordering your coffee today at 1775coffee.com/Loomer. Thank you to Rumble. All right. Well, we had Loomer Unleashed DC correspondent Charles Downs in Washington, D.C. today, where General Mark Milley was testifying. Okay. We had the hearing in Congress as it relates to the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. And Charles decided to show up, and he was going to go confront General Milley and didn't see General Milley because, well, it looks like General Milley was actually taken in through another entrance because you had the communists, the crazy communists, pro-Hamas supporters at Code Pink there standing outside the door with their painted red communist hands. So let's go ahead and play this clip because, as we know, Code Pink is a Marxist organization, and Charles caught up with them today. So go ahead and play the clip.
They don't open it normally till 15 minutes before.
What does it say on your arms to be a free Palestine? Free Palestine. What does your arm say? Free Gaza. Okay.
So, meanwhile, we have January 6th political prisoners who are basically, locked inside, and they're in jail right now because they, supposedly, right, had an insurrection at the United States Capitol. But what do you call this, right? Disrupting an official government proceeding. I mean, look, guys, we just have an absolute two-tiered system of justice in this country, and it's pretty obvious for all to see. So let's go to the chat right now. Let's go to the chat, see if you have any questions. Again, we are live right now, so be sure that you are reposting this live link. And also, please be sure that you're following me on Rumble, rumble.com/Laura Loomer, rumble.com/Laura Loomer. Does it have anything, like a text at the chat right there? Let's see, is there a text? Yeah, oh, those bimbos got Loomered. Yeah, thank you. Paul Ingracia, let's see. Hey, Laura, Paul was awesome. Yeah, he's great, isn't he? Oh, we have the Tommy Robinson clip too, don't we? Yeah, we have a Tommy Robinson clip as well. Is that why? Who's going, why are they going viral? Let's see. Okay, guys, I'm going to take some of your questions in the chat now. So, hey, it looks like Bernie Moreno is going to win the Ohio Republican Party Senate primary. That's good. Guess, right? Yeah, Code Pink, Medea Benjamin is still around. She's a hateful troll. Absolutely. Somebody said, can I doggy sit Mecca and Loomer for you? They have a dog sitter right now. There's a dog sitter right now watching them while I'm here during the show. Let's see, what else? Rumble in the jungle. Bernie won. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. Do we have any results for Arizona in yet? Or no, it's not yet because it's 10 o'clock, so polls close in 10 minutes, right? If you're just tuning in right now, President Donald Trump did win the Kansas, Florida, Ohio, and Illinois GOP primary. We're waiting on the results for Arizona, but we already know. We already know that President Trump is going to win Arizona. So, I said I was going to pull a Fox News and call Arizona early tonight, which is what I did. So I already decided to call Arizona for President Trump tonight. So it's good. How is Jenna Ellis coping with being Loomered? Yeah, well, not very well. Not very well. Not very well at all. I think we have the Tommy Robinson clip too. As I was talking about earlier, Tommy Robinson decided to chime in as well on all of these Muslims and Sneeko, who I guess is trending right now on Twitter, for attacking me. So let's go ahead and play this Tommy Robinson clip.
How right is Laura Loomer? Like, Sneeko, you're a rat, bruv. A total rat. But I've known you're a rat for a while. I knew you was a rat as soon as I saw you selling your ass to Saudi Arabia. How much did you get for that? Doing your little shit video trying to get your impressionable youth to convert to this bullshit ideology. But anyway, Myron, Sneako's not your pal. And you see those jihadists and radicals that he's sitting with. You see Ali Dawah on the left, ugly fucker. He says that he'd allow his 11-year-old daughter to get married. You know, hijab. Yeah, hijab agrees with having sex with children, right? Total wrong. And you see, but these jihadists, Myron, they're the kind who pick the wrong type of Muslims. You know, in Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan, where the wrong type of Muslims are oppressed, attacked, killed, yeah? They justify this shit. Well, unfortunately, Myron, you're the wrong type of Muslim, yeah, to these fuckers. But so are you, Sneako, because you don't believe a word of it either. You ain't fasting. You're on the sesh, you chat shit. It's all bullshit. I know you don't believe that. Everyone knows you don't believe it. You were just clout chasing to convert. Sucking takes cock, which is why you converted. But how mad is it that the Zionist Jew is the one defending the Muslim Myron against the jihadist mindset, while Sneako sits there and sucks their jihadist cocks? Embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. And, you know, it's really sad because Sneako has a really large audience, and then he appeals to all these young men and young children. And then he says really disgusting things. Like, there's this other clip that I just retweeted right now. And he was like, oh, I just, you know, I came back from the Middle East and I saw a woman's hair. And it just reminded me of, you know, like the evils of Western civilization. Can we get this clip pulled up? Let's get it pulled up, because it's just so screwed up that this is the kind of messaging he's pushing out to young boys. He's saying things like, oh, you know, it's so bad that I got to see a woman's hair. Like, are you gay? Are you gay? That's my question. Are you gay, Sneako? Go ahead and play the clip.
I get so excited.
Ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go at all times.
You know what I remembered specifically after my first Umrah when we went last November? I didn't see a woman's hair for about a week and a half.
Wow.
You just see women covered in burqa pretty much. In Saudi, it's more strict.
Yeah.
So I barely saw a woman for about 10 days. And then I go to the airport on the way back, and I'm in the Jeddah airport. Yeah. Finally, you see women with hair. And I actually got sad after a while, because after lowering my gaze for that long and seeing what my mind was capable of, seeing a woman's beauty again, it felt like I was getting something for free that I didn't earn. Yeah. Seeing a woman's hair like that, it's crazy. It sounds like people are watching right now, they think it's insane. But it was a little bit of a sad moment, because it's coming back to the Western reality.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because, you know, women really want to cover up their hair because we think that you need to earn it. Like, ugh, God, this is like primitive caveman behavior, you guys. This is primitive caveman talk. Like, if you're going to say that, oh, wow, I felt like I was being so sexualized for seeing a woman's hair. Oh, my God. Ooh, guys, it's getting hot in here. Oh, my God, look at my red highlights. I just did my hair, you guys. Oh, my God, who's going to have an orgasm right now? Who's going to have an orgasm? Oh, my God, her hair is just, like, everywhere, you guys. I can't control myself. like, this is some primitive shit, man. This is crazy. That's gotta be like the most homosexual thing I've ever heard in my life. Okay. So anyway, I don't know. We just should not be engaging these types of people. Okay. This is ridiculous behavior. Like, oh wow. I couldn't like bear seeing a woman's hair. It's just going to make me go rape somebody. Oh my God. I can't control myself. I just can't keep my penis in my pants if I see a woman with her hair out. Like, it's just, this is the problem with Islam, you guys. Okay. This is why we have Muhammad, okay, in the gator's mouth tonight. This is the problem with it. It's just super gay caveman behavior. All right. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. I mean, honestly, you guys, press 1 if you think that that is homosexual behavior, okay? Press 1. I mean, honestly, it's like, do I need to wear a burqa, you guys? Do I need to cover up? Is my hair sexualizing people? It's just out of control behavior. The fact that anybody would even take something like that seriously is just like totally nuts. So, let's see. People said TMI 1. Okay, the chat agrees that this is gay behavior, okay? Somebody said goats have hair too. Yeah. Maybe he should move to Saudi Arabia permanently then. Exactly. Right. That's exactly right, you guys. Maybe he should move to Saudi Arabia permanently if that's what he thinks. Here's another clip too from Fresh and Fit. Let's go ahead and play it. Since you guys missed my appearance. Oh, what is a femcell? Like stem cell? Oh yeah, it's like a play on words. It's like stem cell. It's like stem cell. No, it's like incel. Oh my God. That was some funny shit, man. That was so funny. I loved it. So, Connect the Dots said, Laura was a spark to the Fresh and Fit stream. Sneeko has been brainwashed in 4K in real time in front of our eyes. Yeah, it's scary, man. I used to think that he was smart, and now he's just been totally radicalized by Muslims. It's crazy. Yes, the black girl said stem cell. Yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Stem cell. That's what she said, is stem cell. Let's see. What other clips do we have? Any other clips? Let's see. Here's another one talking about getting censored. All right. Somebody said, let's see. Yeah, maybe Sneeko shouldn't watch Fresh and Fit if he doesn't like hair. Exactly. Someone said, are you friends with Myron? Yeah, he's cool. He's a nice guy. All right, we also have, I had this ad that I made the other day. I don't know if I showed it on the show or not, but I released this ad, and I want to play it because it was a great ad that I made, and then President Trump actually shared it. That was another update. So let's go ahead and play the ad because President Trump shared it and pinned it at the top of his True Social.
From all over the world they came.
From
Angola. Millions of illegal border crossers have entered the country unlawfully.
Egypt.
Cameroon. Colombia. They're coming by the thousands. Nobody could afford this, and even morally it's so wrong.
Venezuela.
Not smart enough to know who I am, but soon you're gonna know who I am. We will secure our borders and we will restore our sovereignty.
They recognize the fact that Joe Biden is more favorable president for immigrants. Trump or Biden?
Biden, of course.
So that was great. Connect the Dots said, I was impressed with the Korean girl on the stream. Yeah, that's a great ad, Loomer team. Thank you so much. We also have video footage of President Trump and Melania Trump today going to vote in Palm Beach. President Trump voted in the Florida Republican primary, so let's go ahead and play that as well.
I think it's a shame. I think it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to our nation what they did to him.
We love you, Trump!
Isn't Melania Trump just so gorgeous? I think she's so beautiful. She's awesome. She's so pretty. I mean, just look at her in that outfit. Go ahead and play that clip one more time. Just admire her beauty. Just look at how gorgeous Melania Trump is. Go ahead and play again.
think it's a shame. I think it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to our nation what they did to him.
We love you, Trump!
She really is the most elegant first lady ever. We got another $10 super chat. Let's see who that is from. Why do women even have hair? I don't want to see it, Sneeko. Yeah, pretty much, you know. That's about right. That's about right, you guys. It's pretty gay behavior. All right. I think we'll take a couple more questions before we end tonight's stream. Let's see. The most beautiful first lady ever. Well, if you guys don't have any more questions, again, please be sure you go to rumble.com/Laura Loomer. Be sure that you download the Rumble app and you follow me on Twitter. Again, let's play the promo one more time. For those of you who are just joining or may not know, I do have a promo for my new documentary that's called The Great Replacement that's going to be coming out. And we need to raise $100,000 in order to do the production costs. And so if you could please donate, you could go to givesendgo.com/thegreatreplacement. givesendgo.com/thegreatreplacement. And please be sure that you contribute. And if you haven't already seen the trailer for my upcoming documentary, The Great Replacement, I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to play it right now.
The Great Replacement Theory. Great Replacement Theory.
The Great Replacement Theory.
Great Replacement Theory.
The Great Replacement Theory.
Replaced, that's the word, replaced.
The Great Replacement Theory is not some grand right-wing conspiracy theory, but a basic statement of the Democratic Party's platform.
These illegal aliens cross the Darien Gap. They're crossing over this bridge, and then, of course, they make their journey to the United States. These are all the NGOs. We have HIAS here, and then you have UNICEF, OIM.
You don't have a crisis, they don't have a profit, and they know that this is a humongous business, so they need to keep this going.
This is also about the new Silk Road, right? BRI, Belt and Road Initiative.
The Belt and Road Initiative is an important opportunity for reaching the United Nations long-term development goals.
Why are you leaving Afghanistan?
Taliban.
The Taliban.
¿De dónde eres? Angola.
Angola. You want to go work in politics in America?
Yeah.
Averaging like 1,500 a day right now this week.
As an American citizen and also now traveling to Darien Gap and speaking with the invaders, the problem is President Joe Biden and the Biden administration actively pushing policies telling the migrants to come to America.
Trump or Biden?
No, Biden, of course.
En el periodo del presidente Donald Trump.
Donald Trump had an idea, and the fact that he built a wall, he was looking forward into the future.
People are going to die. People are dying. And you ask the migrants when they get off the boat, you say, did you see any dead bodies? Every single one of them said yes. Yes, people want a better life, but this is not the way to do it. We're told that there's a lot of Chinese migrants that are coming in, and this is primarily the camp that they offload into.
The way they get paid, there's no cell phone coverage here, but you have Starlink.
Well, so the Chinese migrants are using Starlink. So if you're watching this, Elon...
我们明白了独裁体制。
Escape from China and escape from the dictatorship.
That's not what we asked. That's not what I asked. I asked you, how did you get out of China? Coming through the Darien, you don't know who's here. You're just taking people at their word. People could be given scripts. You don't know if people are being honest when they say that they're Christian and trying to leave and not get in. You don't know what they've been told.
I've been saying it's going to explode down here.
Why are they promoting diversity in the Embara village?
The NRC and the UNHCR on the bottom of the sign.
Let's move a little bit because they're getting a little bit agitated.
It's weaponized migration. It's a demographic warfare.
Okay.
I mean, it's demographic
So the Great
warfare.
Replacement, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
It appears as though the New York Times decided to follow me without my knowledge to Panama. All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that trailer for my upcoming film. Again, the Give Send Go is givesendgo.com/thegreatreplacement. Givesendgo.com/thegreatreplacement. If everybody watching right now, I think we have a couple thousand people watching live, donated $10, that would definitely help me reach my goal tonight. So again, please, we are at $10,000 on the Give Send Go. I just got a private, confirmation and commitment from a donor to give me $20,000 the other day. So that is $30,000 essentially. So $30,000 for the documentary, and it's pretty incredible, right? So we need to raise another $70,000. So please be sure that you can contribute at givesendgo.com/thegreatreplacement. Givesendgo.com/thegreatreplacement. Again, go to rumble.com/Laura Loomer, and also be sure that you are following me for all of my exclusive updates and my reports on Truth Social, X, Getter, and Gab at Laura Loomer. I want to thank everybody who tuned in to tonight's episode 35 of Loomer Unleashed. I will see you again this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern for episode 36 of Loomer Unleashed. Until then, have a great night, everybody. Thanks so much for watching.
There is a young female journalist, conservative journalist, by the name of Laura Loomer.
If America's men acted like Laura Loomer, our problems will be fixed in about 5 minutes.
Chained herself to
She
Twitter.
chained herself.